Greetings, NFL fans. Today is Thursday, March 12th, and I think we have free agency finally wrapped up. This is the Shutdown Corner Podcast. I'm Kevin Kaduk here with Frank Schwab and Jay Busbee. Okay, so free agency is not wrapped up, but it may as well be, and it actually was probably wrapped up well before the Tuesday 4 p.m. Eastern thing, Frank. It wasn't quite the frenzy we expected. I don't know. How do we make sense of everything?
I agree. It was weird. This is the strangest free agency I've seen in that everything Tuesday was anticlimactic, except the trades and the retirements, which came out of nowhere, saved the day basically, because signing-wise, it was like, oh, we knew all this. Everything. There was a couple good football moves, but like, you know, the Buccaneers signing Bruce Carter, the linebacker. It's like, well, that's a good football move, but it's not like, oh my God, I have to drop everything because Bruce Carter. It was strange that it was like free agency day, but the trades overshadowed anything that happened on Tuesday or Wednesday or the whole week.
Which one shocked you the most?
Jimmy Graham. You don't see guys like that move too often. The quarterback trade, and I'm sure we're going to talk about that, was weird, and I have some opinions about it. But the Jimmy Graham trade, when you heard like the first time, I mean, because it happened so quick, it was like Twitter was like, oh my God, Jimmy Graham's on the block, and like 3 minutes later, the trade was official. But like the first time I heard it, I didn't even know whether to post on it because I'm like, there's no way this is true.
You think it's from Adorn Schefter or whatever?
Yeah, I think it was either Glazer or Schefter who first reported it, and it was like there's no way this could be true. Although I obviously I respect those guys, I know it was coming from somewhere, but it was like in my mind, there's no way the Saints would trade Jimmy Graham. Why would they do that? Why would they? And he goes to Seattle, who just gets better, and I don't think the Saints got a terrible deal out of it, but it was just like, wow, Jimmy Graham, he really is one of those players who I think is just on a different level with everybody.
So as we're taping this, the DeMarco Murray saga has not wrapped up. It looks like he's headed to Philadelphia. He's in Philly. He's doing the whole thing. So I guess for all intents and purposes, we can assume that. That actually, then obviously that raises the question, does Adrian Peterson land in Dallas? I think that's probably the biggest question now out there. But if I'm looking at what's happened the last week, the thing that strikes me the most is that the Seahawks just really, really strengthened their grip on the NFC. One, with the addition of Jimmy Graham, and two, 49ers, it seems the sun is set on them with everything that's happened. And now the Saints kind of seem like they're kind of committed to rebuilding. So who's really going to challenge them? I guess Philadelphia has been active, and Chip Elliott.
I mean, I don't know why. I know why you are just but I thought Green Bay had a really good free agency, even though Ted Thompson, again, he's not going to sign it. I saw a great stat yesterday. Yeah. Somebody tweeted out that the Jacksonville Jaguars signed 6 unrestricted free agents on Wednesday. Ted Thompson has signed 5 since 2007. I don't know if that's accurate, but it's probably pretty close if it's not. And he's not going to sign anybody, but to get Cobb back and to get Bulaga back on basically under market value, all of a sudden, like, guys want to stay in Green Bay for a hometown discount. That's unbelievable. I've lived near Green Bay. I'm from Wisconsin. I don't know why you would be. I'll take less money to live here in the winter.
You can buy a mansion for $450,000. That's why.
That's a great point. That's actually a great point. There's a reason.
That's a good point. I mean, Green Bay did obviously. They got better. The Bears probably got worse. The Lions, of course, got worse.
I don't think the Bears got worse.
No?
I don't think the Bears got worse. I mean, they bring in McPhee. They bring in, who I think has a shot to be a really good player, at least. Okay. They bring in Antrel. Eddie Royal is what he is. He's solid. I mean, he can replace Brandon Marshall, who I think was, he's not helping your locker room at all. So maybe there's some intrinsic value there. I don't love Jay Cutler, obviously, but I don't think the Bears got worse. I think that they're retooling and they might be a little bit better. Fox is a good coach.
Okay, well, I'm happy to hear that.
But isn't it ridiculous that maybe not even a year ago, we're talking about the NFC being so exceptional that maybe the Patriots would have cracked the top 6. And now all of a sudden you've got all the power shifting over to the AFC. Even the AFC East is going to be a lot of fun. We can talk about that. It's just it changes so quickly in the NFL. San Francisco's done. Seattle seems to be the last one standing.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of. I mean, maybe the Rams finally come up, but even that's I don't know. The Arizona Cardinals, I think, they'll get Carson Palmer back. They'll be pretty good. But you're right. It's, think of how close we are to be talking about Seattle possible three-peat. I mean, they've they've got to be the favorites right now, especially the Revis leaving New England, right? If we're picking a favorite right now, not knowing who drafts who or who gets hurt or whatever, it's got to be Seattle, right?
How much would they have liked to have Jimmy Graham on that last play of the Super Bowl?
Geez, yeah, it would have been a little bit better going to him instead of Ricardo. I don't think that Malcolm Butler would have just plowed through Jimmy Graham and Ricardo Lockett. No, probably not. But it's crazy that Seattle Seahawks added that kind of a player. I mean, I love their aggression. I love that they just go for it all the time. I'm a big fan of what they're doing.
I think the sexiest additions are with Indianapolis, Andre Johnson and Frank Gore, but those are still two aging veterans. So are we going to be blinded by that sexiness, or are these guys really going to be impact makers?
Blinded by the sexiness of Indy.
Yeah, I've met Frank Gore, and blinded by his sexiness is not exactly the term I'd use. But hey, whatever floats your boat, Kevin. But you know what? Okay, there's two ways to look at it. I mean, are they getting Andre Johnson or Frank Gore from 2007? No, of course not. But I don't think anybody expects that. And the roles they're going to play, I think that they could be productive in those roles. If we're not thinking about Andre Johnson catching 100 balls for 1,500 yards, I think you're probably okay. He's going to be a really good complementary guy alongside T.Y. Hilton with Luck throwing him the ball. Gore is so much better than what they had at running back. I mean, it's just... I guess the bar was just so low that Frank Gore can't help but cross it.
Okay, so obviously the Patriots are the kings of the AFC, the reigning kings of the NFL, Super Bowl champions. Lost Darrelle Revis, but they lost Vereen. Where do you see them rebounding? It obviously seems like they can always replug and retool to various degrees. They were able to keep McCourty, which is a big coup.
Right.
Where do you see them being?
You know, that people are freaking out about the Patriots, which really kind of surprises me.
I don't remember that ever happening.
My God. Yeah, exactly. Oh, my God, Darrelle Revis is gone. Well, everybody knew Darrelle Revis was a one-year hired gun. I mean, this shouldn't shock anybody. This is how this was, structured. And they went to the AFC championship game 2 years ago without Darrelle Revis. So it's not like Darrelle Revis was the key to all these division championships. But I think it does open the door a little bit when you lose a Hall of Fame player. So if you're Indianapolis, who got all these veterans, even if you're Denver, you're hoping Peyton Manning bounces back. But I think even in the AFC East, teams are loading up and saying maybe this is our shot to beat the Patriots finally.
Do you think that is a shot, though? That's the question I've been getting all week long. People saying are they all loading up to all go 9-7, or does someone have a legitimate chance at taking them out?
It's tough because I like what the Bills have done. The Jets have obviously added some key guys, but who are their quarterbacks? Matt Castle. I know Greg Cosell, NFL Films like Matt Castle in that spot, but it's been so long since he played well. And, Geno and Ryan Fitzpatrick, and goodness knows what else they got playing at quarterback in New York is bad. So maybe it's the Dolphins. Maybe, Tannehill's good enough. And now they have Ndamukong Suh, who's going to make everybody better. Maybe they're the team. If I had to pick somebody, it's going to be Miami. But I still think, Revis or not, I mean, it's until New England doesn't win that division, I can't pick them not to win that division.
So it's a fight basically for that 5 or 6 seed.
Yeah, and there's nothing wrong with if the Miami Dolphins go 11-5 and get the 5 seed, that's fine. I mean, you can win a Super Bowl from that spot. So I can't pick against the Patriots. I don't care that they lost Revis. It's not ideal, but they were good long before Darrelle Revis showed up.
You haven't done your big grades from the free agency yet. I think you'll be doing that in a bit here. Looking ahead, who do you see as the real losers? Who missed an opportunity? I think you really slammed the Bucs on Yahoo's front page, and rightfully so.
Yeah, the Buccaneers just cutting everybody from last year. Right after they, cut Darrelle Revis after trading the 13th pick of the draft. I mean, that is just mismanagement. That's terrible. What are they doing? I mean, I just don't get it. I think the Saints are a little bit of losers because you lost Jimmy Graham. Even though, I know you got Max Unger, great center, all that. But I don't know that that's really exciting me too much. I think Lions clearly are losers in this. Losing Ndamukong Suh and Nick Fairley, it looks like. Yeah, they get Haloti Ngata back, but in that trade. But he's aging. I don't know that he's the guy we remember. They're clearly losers. The 49ers, I think, are clearly losing at this point. I don't think, even though Torrey Smith came aboard, I think that's a net loss for them. Denver hasn't done anything. The people out here in Denver where I live, they're kind of freaking out. Like, why? They've lost Orlando Franklin. They're probably going to lose Raheem Moore. They're going to lose Terrence Knighton. They haven't added anybody except Owen Daniels. Julius Thomas left, obviously. Mm-hmm. People are kind of freaking out here in Denver right now.
Well, that brings up a point. Which team may have benefited just by standing still?
Probably Green Bay, I guess. Well, they just re-signed their guys. So, I mean, they quote unquote standing still. I mean, that's maybe Dallas not overpaying DeMarco. It looks like he's probably going to the Eagles. I don't know. I think that there are some teams. I mean, the Seahawks didn't do a ton except Jimmy Graham, I guess, but they didn't sign a bunch of guys for free agency. Sometimes it is better to sit out and not, spend $11 million a year on Byron Maxwell or whatever he got. So there probably is some, if you look at the end, like a team like the Steelers being prudent, it's probably smart. They were on the rise at the end of last year before Le'Veon Bell got hurt before the playoffs. So it's not always the best thing to go out and spend. There is a fine line to be done there.
Who do you think is going to be the Bucks? Who are you going to overbuy into? And because last year at this time you're like, hey, Lovie Smith doing this, and now you think Lovie Smith is the worst coach out there. I warned you, because it actually looks like he's putting together the Tampa Bay Bears down there. Although I don't know how he can do that without Josh McCown anymore. But he's got Henry Melton. It looks like.
They signed Chris Conte. It's like, really, 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 Lovey. That's your move. Okay.
But who out there do you think people might get a little too excited over?
Probably the Colts. I mean, just because they're going to look and they're going to see, look at all the stars they have. That's a heck of a fantasy football team from 2009. I mean, that's kind of who they are, and people are going to buy into that. They might be right. Andrew Luck is capable of that, but it's still a team that hasn't gotten over that Patriots hump that clearly benefits from playing in an awful, awful division. Yeah, so it's probably the Colts. I don't really have a team yet where I'm like, wow, this team, look out for that team, because, there's been a lot of teams that do, the Eagles have done some great things, I think, and they've done some really weird things, obviously. People are tweeting at me like Chip Kelly should be fired. Like, what? Huh? Really? Like
Philadelphia. I follow a lot of Philadelphia people on Twitter because going back to the Phillies being really good, not so much anymore. So I see all their complaining about Ruben Amaro, and now it seems like they've transferred all that acrimony over to Chip Kelly. They're really being really bipolar about it, because
I mean, it was like Chip Kelly trades McCoy, and I like that trade. You can read all about it at Shutdown Corner. I like that trade, but then he made the Bradford trade. And everybody in the world is like, Chip Kelly's a moron. He should just go back to college. He's just, everybody's saying he's just, blowing this thing up so he can go back to college.
And then 15 minutes later, people realize, hey, maybe they're stockpiling picks to make a run at Marcus Mariota. Everyone's happy again. Then Chip Kelly comes on and says, no, that is not happening. We're not going to mortgage our future like that. Now it seems like people are coming back to him because now they have DeMarco Murray, and if he's successful, Eagles fans can throw that in Cowboys fans' face. So I think they're happy now.
That's the thing. Here's the thing I don't get about, and it does look like DeMarco Murray's going to sign there. I mean, it would be kind of a 180 if he doesn't at this point, and we've seen that before. But if I don't get it, because the rhetoric 4 days ago or whenever was Chip Kelly is just going to invest on defense, and he's going to let his system take care of the offense. That's why he didn't need LaShawn McCoy, because he's not going to pay the running back. Okay, I actually like that train of thought. Then they signed Ryan Matthews at a charge of $4 million a year, and I really thought that was a good value, good bargain. And then they're going to sign DeMarco Murray for what, 7, 8? I don't know. We'll see what the contract is. You're going to spend. Why didn't you just keep McCoy? I guess DeMarco's a great fit in the zone scheme that they run. He's a one-cut guy, and he's going to be really good in that scheme. But I don't get it. Why did you just spend $4 million a year on a backup running back? Basically, what? I mean, is there a plan? Or are you just going by the seat of your pants here? I don't get that. I mean, if you would have told me in a vacuum, hey, the Eagles signed DeMarco, they traded away LaShawn McCoy, they signed DeMarco Murray. Okay, fine. I get it. I understand, but I don't either. Are you letting your system take care of this, or are you investing in skill position players? Because if you're investing in skill position players, you've let 3 incredible ones walk within the last 13, 14 months.
Yeah.
Do you think that he is basically trying to set up a system where the player is not as important as the system? Do you think that that's a realistic possibility, or is he just outthinking himself?
But then why sign DeMarco Murray if that's your thinking? I don't. It's tough to figure out what's happening here because it's like we come to these conclusions like, oh, Chip is just doesn't want stars. He wants guys who he wants to devalue players and boost his system. But then you sign the NFL Offensive Player of the Year. Like, unless you get him cheap on some kind of discount, which I don't think is happening. What? It's just it's really contradictory here. I don't get the plan. I don't get what their mission statement is basically.
We should have had someone from Philadelphia just come on and scream and swear. That would have been real good podcasting.
Just rage.
It is weird. Let's remember this about Chip Kelly, and it's not being said enough. The man won 10 games last year with his backup quarterback. I mean, we're all of a sudden pushing Chip Kelly back into college and saying he's a fail. Like, if you just do a Twitter search on Chip Kelly, like, go read some of the things people are saying. Chip Kelly won 10 games last year with his backup quarterback. Like, I don't think the guy is exactly, Steve Spurrier at the Redskins. He's doing just fine. I don't agree with the Bradford trade. I thought it was weird. I don't get it, but I'm not exactly also ready to say Chip Kelly's this massive moron and he's a failure and he's going to be back coaching college in, 9 months or whatever.
Yeah. I think the other big story of the last week was the sudden retirement of Jake Locker, only 26 years old, only four injury-filled years in the league, and then Jason how do you say his last name?
I think
Worlds.
Yeah. Go with that.
I'm terrible at pronouncing things. People know.
I can spell it.
Regular listeners, really. Yeah. He retired, and that was more of a surprise because he was really set up to get paid, and there was a lot of money coming his way. And he said, "Look, this is just not for me." Are we walking into an era now where people are going to say, "Hey, 4 or 5 years in the NFL, I'm going to get paid and get out before things get really hairy on my body," or what?
I don't discount it. I mean, it's not the worst plan in the world to say, let's say Jason Worlds. He made $9.75 million last year on the transition tag. Mm-hmm. If you're smart, that money's going to at least give you a nice nest egg to whatever you want to do next in your life. You're set. You should be set. As long as you don't blow all that money, you should be set if you're relatively smart. And he's walking away with his health. He got to play in the NFL and live that part of his life. And he's not going to be one of these guys who, is having serious concussion problems at 45, post-concussion problems. So I just don't, have a problem with any of these guys doing this. Like, people talk about Jake Locker, like, oh, hi, well, yeah, Jake Locker was hurt for basically 4 straight years and made $12 million. Like, yeah, get out. I don't mind. I think if one of those things where if you don't want to do it anymore, it's done. You can't play in the NFL and not want to do it.
These guys have options. I mean, Jake Locker probably go back to UW and live like a king for the rest of his life and open up car dealerships.
Do you place any stock in the idea that he might go play baseball?
The Angels have said they're not interested. Okay. They drafted him all the way back in 2009.
Angels have shut that one down.
Yeah, I don't think that's going to happen. But
he could do whatever. He's 26. He's to the point in his life when if he wanted to be whatever, he wanted to be CEO of his own company at some point, he could do it. He's 26.
There was a guy that we went to Wisconsin with who was a long snapper, and he went into the league, and I think he played 2 or 3 years, and they cut him before he was eligible for a pension. But I think about the fact that guy had a $400,000 a year head start on what we did, right?
Yes, exactly. Exactly.
My first job did not pay me $400,000. Luckily, I was able to get to that point, but that's well short of what I make now. So
it's the thing that fans don't understand a little bit, Kevin. Yeah, the thing fans don't understand, and it really is a pet peeve of mine, is when anybody says these guys play a kid's game, I would play it for free. Yeah, that's so dumb. It's just not like, come on. Like, I played cops and robbers as a kid. Doesn't mean we shouldn't pay cops. Like, this is just be smarter about this.
It's a completely different thing from going out in the sandlot.
Completely.
You think of everything, no matter what kind of professional athlete you are. You think about all the dedication and training that goes into that. It's no one just falls into this by accident. No one just gets into that on pure talent alone.
And especially in the NFL, but in all professional sports, in hockey too, is on a high side. It's a very physically demanding game where none of these guys feel right. I mean, none of these guys, whether it's your knees, your shoulders, or your back, or your brain, you are really struggling physically by the time you're done in the NFL. And it's just, what scale are you on? Are you one of these guys who really can't walk anymore by the time you're 40? Or do you get out feeling okay where I could live a day-to-day life? Like, Patrick Willis talked about that. He's like, I see guys can't even pick up basketball or play with their kids, and I just don't want to be that. I don't want that to be me. You got enough. So, I mean, it's to say, like, people see the salaries and they see Sundays and they think that this is the best thing that anybody could do, because it would be awesome to play in the NFL for a lot of people, and to make that money be awesome too. But they don't realize this is a hard profession. It's a very hard profession.
I find it interesting, though, because for so long we hear about the people who just can't get away from the cheers and what happens when the cheering stops. And now it actually seems like we're seeing a lot of people, whether they do it or not, acknowledge the fact that maybe I should step away a year too early rather than a year too late. We've seen it happen in the past before. I mean, I think the most high-profile examples would be Robert Smith, Barry Sanders,
Jim Brown.
So I'm really interested to see if this is more of a strategy, saying, okay, 5-6 years, then I'm out, and no one wants it. Even if you're from a position that generally ages relatively well, not necessarily a running back, but a linebacker or wide receiver or whoever. So it's interesting.
How will this, though, change me? One of the things that I've been raging about is the whole idea of guaranteed contracts versus we know that you throw out some ridiculous figure, and that the odds are strongly against the player ever making even 75% of that. So that's why the guaranteed contract number is so important. How do you think that if we start to see players tapping out after 5 and 4 years, that would change the whole contract spectrum, because suddenly they would need to have more guaranteed money in order to do that?
It's interesting. The only thing is, if you're an NFL owner, that's the last thing you want to do is give guaranteed contracts, because you have it so good right now.
Right.
You have it so good where you can dispose of a guy. I mean, just honesty. This is what the NFL has done. You can dispose of a guy. He is absolutely disposable to you once he gets hurt. Once he's no longer useful to you, you could just move on, and there's no more guaranteed money. And the NFL owners, if the NFLPA ever won that battle, it would take a strike that would probably last a full season. I mean, they're just so far behind in that curve that I don't think that's ever going to happen. The NFL is never going to want that. The NFLPA is always going to want that. Right now, the NFL's won that battle because, even when we saw in the last lockout, fans went nuts over the players and are greedy and blah, blah, blah. It would take really shutting down the NFL for a full year for the Players Association to make those gains, I think. I just don't see it happening. I mean, they're just too far behind right now.
Yeah.
It's a tough PR point to make. I mean, I made one comment about it, and I had people saying, oh, poor guys, they only get $4 million instead of $10 million, and so it's a tough PR angle to fight. But for these guys, it's a necessary one.
I can't imagine how anyone sits there and looks at some of these stories that are coming out from players in their late 30s, early 40s, and seeing what has become of them and saying, they should do it for loyalty or whatever. It's just crazy. I think Will Brinson tweeted something out to that effect, saying anyone who hates on the players for maximizing their value is complete clowns. But how could you look at? I mean, how could you possibly side with ownership or a team or whatever? I mean, I understand why people get worked up, but
it's like people who talk about, like, especially around here, Eric Decker and Julius Thomas. It's like, well, Eric Decker just ruined his career by going to the Jets. Eric Decker just made like $40 million. What are you talking about? He ruined his career. He did exactly what he should have done. Why? So he's going to put up better numbers of Peyton Manning. Well, that's great and all, but it's not putting your kids through college. I mean, or Julius Thomas. People like Julius Thomas just ruined his career going to the Jacksonville Jaguars.
People act like, the Super Bowl ring is the ultimate. That's the only thing that matters. How many stories do we run of people selling their Super Bowl rings 5 years after?
And that's great. If you win a Super Bowl, that's awesome. If you can do both, that's awesome. But if you take a discount, like let's say Randall Cobb could have made a couple more million, but he really likes Green Bay, likes playing with Aaron Rodgers, thinks his career is going to be better there. That's fine too.
You do what is the best for you. It is your decision. Right. The only person that is going to be loyal to you, the NFL, is you. It's the only person.
Fans
aren't going to be loyal to you.
No.
Team isn't going to be loyal to you. GMs aren't going to be loyal to you. It just doesn't happen. Maybe if you're maybe if you're friends with Lovie Smith, then you've got a job down in Tampa. But
if you went to Oregon, you're okay. You got a job in Philadelphia.
And with the fans who go crazy, like somebody even tweeted at me, like DeMarco Murray's an idiot if he signs with the Jaguars or the Raiders instead of going somewhere where we can win a Super Bowl. Like, come on, dude! Like, you're an idiot for signing for millions of dollars? Like, no. But if you took a poll of the 32 NFL owners, or 31, I guess, without the Packers, if you took a poll of those owners and put truth serum in them and said, "Would you rather make another $1 billion this year or win a Super Bowl," I can guarantee you what the outcome would be, and it wouldn't be 31-0 on the Super Bowl side.
Here's what I would love to see. The reverse of that Peyton Manning cut that meat commercial, where he's cheering on the fans. I'd love to see him go on and just dogging some poor slob who's 5 minutes late to work. Oh, this guy sucks. He's awful. He doesn't burn for his desire to get to the insurance company on time. Yeah, just absolutely rip apart fans who can't understand that this is a business.
It's a business. That's all it is. And, it's a business on both ends. The team, I mean, we could talk about how Julius Thomas ruined his career, blah, blah, blah. The Denver Broncos never even called Julius Thomas. Well, okay, so the Denver Broncos don't want to win a Super Bowl? Should that be the other part of this? It's both-sided, right? I mean, the Denver Broncos...
They thought he was going to call them, and they didn't want to be forward. It was kind of a really an awkward situation. They caught each other's eyes across the room, and no one knew who should make the first move. It was really a nasty situation.
The other side of this, like you're talking about it, is... Things change in the NFL so quickly. Julius Thomas goes to Jacksonville. Who's not to say Jacksonville's not a playoff team next year and Denver isn't?
Right? That's absolutely positively true. I don't think that's going to happen. Neither are you. You're right. It could very well switch
Denver
in a hurry.
We're talking about playoffs next year.
Yes,
we're talking. We could easily be in.
Yes, we could be talking about Blake Bortles being the next superstar in the NFL in a year from now. I don't. He's a fourth pick of the draft. Like, it could happen. Like, absolutely.
All right. Any other takeaways?
Just not really. There was a lot that happened, but it wasn't. One thing I didn't get enough of is I just wish somebody on Twitter would have talked about what a crazy day in the NFL it was on Tuesday. Like, I just didn't see that. Like, I wish one person would have tweeted, "Oh my God, this is the craziest day in NFL history." Yeah. I just didn't see that anywhere on my timeline.
That is the one downside of Twitter is there's so much stuff you have to cut through. People just making throwaway tweets. It's just like, if you are not bringing anything to the conversation, if that is the only thing that you have to add, that is not something you should add. I'm sure you could probably go back and find 12 instances of the times I just tweeted "wow" and be like, right. Well, what were you referring to? It's like, well, I don't know, probably Marcus Kruger scored a second period goal for the Blackhawks in the mid-January game, but
it really wasn't that crazy on Tuesday. It was a very interesting day with the trades, but I didn't see it as like, oh my God, I'm going to remember this day the rest of my life. Like,
I needed more pictures of people's coffee and how hard they'd been working and accounts of their 16 and 18-hour days. That's what I needed more of.
Good fun. But no, it was actually kind of really an anticlimactic Tuesday aside from the trades, really.
I want to congratulate you, Frank. You're going on vacation finally. We're actually
yes.
divorcing you from your laptop. You're actually getting you on a plane and sending you to Vegas. You might not tweet at all. You might not file a post. I wouldn't put it past you.
Nope. No. I will be not sober enough to post. So there's no chance of that. If you do see me posting, you can pretty much know that I'm probably going to get fired after that post because it will not.
When you're posting, I'm just going to assume that you lost all your money and are broke.
Yes, I guess. If you do see me posting by like next Friday, it is because I bet big on University of Wisconsin to cover the spread in the first round, and they did not do it. Like, that's probably what happened, and I just came back to work.
7 Reasons I Hate Mike Shanahan by Frank Schwab at 3 a.m.
Next week is arguably the only week of the year where people do not pay attention to the NFL. Is that true?
That'd be interesting. Well,
not pay attention, but where it's not the number one news story.
I think there's other weeks where it's not number one.
When?
But
by default.
Every 4 years in the Olympics? No.
Masters week?
No, Masters doesn't do it. World Series doesn't do it.
World Cup does it.
Well, for a certain subset of fans.
Okay. Yeah. No, I think when the World Cup's going on in June, it beats the NFL handily. Like, there's nothing going on in the NFL.
Well, but then you get the stories about which NFL players would succeed on the World Cup.
Oh yeah, I've done that. Everybody's done that story. That is classic. You got to do it.
And the best thing is, like, every time they do one of those, for like other sports, like Allen Iverson is always like whatever they like propose. Like, Allen Iverson would be a great running back. Allen Iverson would be great at soccer.
Well, he's fading now, so now it's LeBron.
Yeah, it's probably not going to be.
Now it's LeBron.
How about LeBron as goalie?
It's LeBron. LeBron's the guy. Yeah, LeBron in every single sport. But yes, next week is a major. Like, it's weird. I'm a huge college basketball fan, and college basketball really is so a niche sport until 1 week or 3 weeks actually. Did a whole tournament with the Final Four and all. It's just there's no comparison like that in sports about how the college basketball just takes over the landscape for a really, really, really tiny amount of time.
What's your routine in Vegas when it comes to college basketball?
Drink heavily. That's a beauty. The games start.
Well, you actually have to leave your room. I'm assuming. Maybe not.
The games start at 9 a.m.
Right. Do you hit the sports book? Where do you watch?
Well, there's viewing parties now because March Madness has become. This is my 15th straight year doing it. It's become such a major deal in Vegas. I think last year there was 99.4% occupancy rates in the hotels that they have viewing parties and it costs hundreds of dollars. And I don't do that. There's some free parties I'll find my way into, but we'll watch some in the room. We'll go, find a place here or there where we can just get a seat and watch for a little bit, kind of bounce around a little bit. And it is so much fun there. It really is one of those bucket list things that people should do. Like, you should spend one March Madness first weekend in Vegas. It is fantastic. It is unbelievable.
Where are you staying at?
I'm staying at a Marriott property right next to Planet Hollywood, so got a nice 2-bedroom suite. Me and my buddy's going to be there. And yes, again, the whole point of this trip isn't basketball. It's not gambling. It's not anything else, but really drinking. That is.
I thought you were going to say spending time with your friends.
Yeah, camaraderie.
No, well, I don't really like my friends, so I need to drink a lot to enjoy it. Nah, I'm kidding. I love my friends, but yes, seeing old friends, having fun. Drinking for 14 hours a day. It is a beautiful week, boys. I am looking forward to it. I could not care if Bill Belichick murders Tom Brady in his sleep. I will not be working.
Do they have Wi-Fi there?
They do have Wi-Fi.
All right, dude. There. Kevin, I'm going to be working remotely next week.
As long as they come in, man.
That's right.
It is a great time though, and yes, I'm actually, like, in the back of my mind thinking I'm glad free agency is not baseball free agency where it just drags on for like 19 months. I mean, there's probably guys from the 2012 free agency class that haven't signed yet. And there's just because baseball works so slow. I'm glad the NFL just takes care of it. Let's get it all done in one day.
Well, so you're going to be out on vacation. Eric at home is out taking care of his newborn twins. Which leaves Sam Cooper, our stalwart Doc Saturday blogger, filling in, and then Jay Busbee, who's also going to be spinning plates over at the Dagger. I'm going to be in the middle of all of it. It'll be real interesting. So I'm sure we're probably going to swear at you at some point, Frank. But you earned the vacation, so don't feel guilty at all.
It is. Trust me, Kevin. I did not plan on feeling guilty.
I mean, seriously, just don't feel guilty whatsoever. We have it handled.
All I'm gonna do is send you pictures constantly for like 5 days. Like, you're writing something for the Dagger, Jay? Oh, here you go.
Yeah.
Here's what I'm doing.
I'm gonna be saving.
I think I might PayPal you some money though, and as long as you play some bets for me, everything will be cool.
Oh, sure. Why not? I'll put it on roulette for you, and I'll be honest if you hit it.
On black. Oh, sorry, you lost.
I'm talking about tournament bets, ones that I can verify.
Yeah, I want to see the ticket.
Like the story we've told about you not betting on Florida State in the Sugar Bowl 15 years ago for your dad. That's probably not the best plan. Yes.
And then just cheering for Virginia Tech to win. Sorry, Dad. The thing was, he knew as soon as he gave me that $100 that it was gone. So.
yeah, he had to.
So some 21-year-old kid to Vegas. Come on.
I think you should pay your dad back now. You're making $400,000 a year in your salary.
You
could probably pay your dad back
for that. If you remember.
What's the what was the odds on that? I mean, what did he? What was the line when you were going to bet?
I think it was just straight. Probably just point spread, probably 100 for 100. So you owe your pops $200. I'm just saying.
Yeah. How are things? So you've been going 15 years. I think that your income has changed over 15 years. So how have things changed from year 1 to year 15? You didn't have the 2-bedroom suite.
Well, here, the first time I went was actually, this is my 16th time going, 15th consecutively. First time I went with some of our good college friends, including Dan Alter. And I went on Thursday, which is the first day of the tournament, and we were going to stay at the Imperial Palace. I love the Imperial Palace. I really do. It's really renovated and all that, nicer now, but I like the old dump Imperial Palace. That's where we were staying with like some friends of friends, basically. And we walked in after playing dollar blackjack at the Sahara, also rest in peace. And we walk in, it's like 4 a.m. And I walk in and it was literally 20 dudes in that room, all sleeping. There was nowhere to walk. I literally let the door close behind me and just laid right down there and used my backpack as a pillow. And there was 20 guys in that room, and the room itself probably cost like $39 at the old Palace. So I probably paid Josh Burgess, our other friend, like $3 for the room, my share. And that's how I spent my first March Madness.
Yes. Face down in that Vegas carpet.
It was 1998. And I was a junior in college, and there's no way I had more than $100 in my pocket for like 3 days. There's no way. I don't even know if I had $100 to my name at that point. So it has changed a little bit. Yes, it doesn't mean it just means I lose more though. It doesn't mean that it doesn't mean anything else other than that.
You've actually earned a bed at this point, not a backpack pillow.
Sleep on a bed and not in front of the door at the Imperial Palace with 20 other college age guys. Yes, probably a fire hazard that night.
I think we all did that. I remember I'm going to the Big Ten tournament this weekend. I just remember when we used to go down and cover it for the Badger Herald, and they'd get us like one room at the Sheraton, and 15 people would be in there of all shapes and sizes and levels of inebriation and intelligence levels.
And the vet move there, if any young kids are listening to this and going to do the spring break plan and stick 28 dudes in a room wherever you're going, whether it's Vegas or elsewhere, the vet move is to shower first. Because if you're the 14th guy trying to shower, good luck getting a towel. Okay, you're like using like yesterday's shirt to dry off, and it's just bad. Like the vet move, the shark move. Be the first in the shower, even no matter how hungover you are, no matter how drunk you've been the night before. You might still be drunk, but get in that shower first. That's my tip for you, everybody.
Get that towel. Get that prime spot on the other side of the bed, between the bed and the wall, where no one takes it.
Yes, it's key. It's key. There's a lot of life lessons here, kids. Pay attention.
Well, enjoy your trip, Frank. We will meet you when you get back. Go Badgers. Go William and Mary if they're playing the NIT, I guess. Sorry, Jay.
Jesus Christ.
Well, let's real quick. I mean, so Jay, you're William and Mary alum. I know we shouldn't be rambling on about college basketball. I don't care.
No. If anybody's still listening by now, they're diehard fans.
You're a William and Mary alum. I watched William and Mary win that unbelievable double overtime game in the semifinals.
Right.
I felt great for you. I was really happy for you. I was hoping I didn't even text you on Monday because I knew it was. It was 10-zip, right? Yeah. Like literally 4 seconds into the game. So, I mean, how are you feeling right now? Are you okay with this? Are you okay?
It's no. I mean, Kevin was nice enough to text me condolences after it was over.
All I did was write dude.
Yeah, just a one-word dude.
There's some points in a man's life, if you're a big sports fan, you just don't want to hear from anybody. Condolences aren't going to work for you. You're just going to get more angry. At least that's how I work.
Yeah, so. See, well, I think this is their 4th shot that they've had in a title game in the last 6 years. So it's just, at this point, it's just not even... It's not expected, and they got it out of the way early. It wasn't even though they made a late run, they made a late 16-0 run to get it. They still were so far down at the end that so now it is, what is it? Since 1906, there are only 5 teams that have not made the NCAA tournament. William and Mary remains one of them. Alas,
Francis, Brooklyn, Northwestern, Army, and
I thought it was both St. Francis's, but I might be wrong about that.
Yeah.
I know St. Francis for sure because they lost on Tuesday night.
So I was going to be angling to get sent to Omaha or Jacksonville or wherever the first opening round was, but does not appear that will be.
Where does this rank for you on the sport? Like as a sports fan, I mean, William and Mary making the tournament, would that be like life-changing event? Would it be?
No, well, the older that we get, the more an event has to hit to be life-changing. But this would be a top 5 sports highlight for me if in terms of my own personal pantheon. Because when I went to William and Mary, I live in Atlanta. I don't have a long track record of quality sports team performance.
Got the Hawks this year, man.
Yeah, that's gonna be fun. That's gonna be fun to watch them because they've got they're set up to put a good run together.
You know, and that's I feel for you because I felt Kevin and I both felt this last year when I was at the Final Four. Harrison brother, I don't even care about those guys. Whatever Harrison brother pulled that shot out of his butt and hit the three, and I literally thought to myself, like, I have a good job, I have a good life, I love my wife, I have a great daughter at home. Why should I, as a grown 38-year-old man, feel this way about a sporting event? I literally thought, like, I don't want to root for sports anymore. I just don't. I want to give up all my teams. I should not feel this way about a sporting event that I didn't participate in.
Right.
I had no stake in this whatsoever. That's the way I felt.
That was close to how I felt 2008, Memphis. I went to grad school in Memphis, so I like Memphis basketball. Memphis playing Kansas, up by 9 points with about 45 seconds left and could not hit a free throw. Not only was this was falling apart as I was driving my family in Colorado as we're driving back through the mountains to the airport, and so I tried to simultaneously not crash my family into a mountain canyon and still keep some semblance of composure as Memphis is falling apart to Kansas, and effing Mario Chalmers hits the shot to send it into overtime, and God, brutal.
If it's any consolation, that title would have been pulled anyways.
Yeah, I know, that's true. That title actually just
grad student rooterships don't work anyway. I don't take those. Yeah, you got to go with the undergrad.
Again, remember what I've got to work with here. So I'm reaching out.
You could probably
is there anyone who like roots for their grad?
Someone who went to William and Mary undergrad, yes.
Well, yeah, okay, but okay, so we have a couple of friends who did Wisconsin, then Minnesota. Nobody roots for Minnesota after going to Wisconsin.
No. If it's a rival school, if you stay
vice
within,
versa.
Yeah, if you stay within the conference, if you stay within the rooting area, no, you don't get to double up.
No, one of my good friends who I'm actually going to see next week, he went to USC undergrad, UCLA grad school for medical school. And it's like, if he came with a UCLA basketball shirt, he would get clowned out of the room and probably sent back to Southern
Deservedly so.
There's no way. There's no way that's flying. And nor would he do it. He hates UCLA.
We should actually put that up. If you're a person listening to this podcast still,
there's nobody listening anymore, Kevin.
Yeah, and definitely not anyone who roots for their grad student over their. I'm going to put that out on Twitter, though. We're going to see.
Yes, I'm with that. I like that. I like that question, yes.
Okay. Yeah.
All right, let's go. We'll be back on the Shutdown Corner Podcast probably when Frank gets back. A lot of stuff to look forward to at the draft, which is here in Chicago. And we'll be doing a Shutdown Corner Podcast from Chicago in the Blog with Balls conference. Jay and I will be live, and Eric will be filling in for Frank because Frank will be filled with draft stuff. So, anyhow. Thanks for joining us. Check us out on the Grandstanding Podcast. Jay and I, we've been doing a lot of cool things over there. And interviewed Kenny Smith, Jeremy Roenick, Bo Kimball, and Jamal Mashburn coming up next week. A lot of fun stuff there. So we appreciate your listenership. We will see you next time.